Hello, everyone, and welcome to Team Negan Gaming. I am Matt, the host, and today we have with us the creators of Sketchbots. We have Yanko and Mihaila. Sorry, did I say that correctly? Okay, good. Thank you for showing up, guys. They are from Croatia. Beautiful city. I literally just forgot the capital of Croatia. My mind is blanking here. My apologies.
Is Zagreb.
Yeah.
We are from Zagreb. One of us is from Rijeka, which is another city in Croatia.
Right. So here we go. I'll pull up the Steam. We got Sketchbots. We got these. So tell me about the game a little bit, Yanko. This
Okay, so Sketchbots is a programming game. It's made in it's a twist on the programming games, like in the way that you have to program the AI of robots to get through a series of levels. And I mean, it's if you want to compare it to some more notable, more famous games, like if you've heard of Gladiabots, like that's in which you face off two teams of bots in the arena with programming. This was designed as a more linear level-based puzzle game. In every level, you have to program your bot to achieve one of a number of goals. The game's been out now for 3 months in early access, and we're hoping to have the early access life cycle wrapped up in another 3 months.
Right. And everyone, as you can see here, it is available on Steam for $7 right now. It's on sale, 30% off. Go get it.
Yeah, you can grab it during the Lunar New Year sale for 30% off. I think that's going on for a few more days. So,
yep.
And if you're unsure, we also released a free demo, and everyone can check it out and make your own decision. And we'd love to hear your opinions either way.
Yeah, cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes.
Not a problem. And you got to share about the game already, Yanko. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask Mihaila. Tell me about yourself. Where did you grow up?
So as we said, we are from Croatia. I was born and I still live in Zagreb, Croatia, and I am currently working on my master's thesis in architecture. And in the meantime, I do 3D modeling and working on the game as a visual designer. So I do the UI of the game and the modeling and the animation and all the other visual stuff.
Cool. Yanko, how about you? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I've been working in Mihaela is my sister, so I also grew up here in Zagreb, and I've been working in the IT industry since college, so programming for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. And in the meantime, always tried to dabble a bit in game development. And for the past year or so, we finally managed to iron out a complete project, and that's Sketchbots. It's our first released game on Steam.
Very cool. Yeah, I didn't notice that. So you're siblings.
Yes.
Very cool. I just noticed it. I was like, oh wait, you both have the same last name. Oh.
It's probably something we should have mentioned. Yeah, that's not me.
We also have another brother working with us, but he's working with us together with Luka, who is our sound designer. So we have Tomislav, who is a brother, Janko, my other brother, me, and Luka, my friends from college.
Wow, cool. Yeah. So you're all three of you are siblings that are working on the game together. You said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
cool.
we all grew up with a passion for video games, and this was it initially started as a way to pass the time during quarantine, and it just evolved into something complete.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. gosh, that's kind of neat. I didn't even think about that. That's a family game, a collaborative family game. That's kind of neat. We actually had one other group on here that was although it was like a lady and her two children that were working on a game together. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw that on the channel. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. So Yanko, tell us who's been the most inspirational figure in your life?
That's I mean, it's hard to say. Probably regards to game development, right?
Anyone, doesn't matter.
I mean, that's I was thinking about that prior to the interview, and it's really hard to point out like a single person. But I mean, one thing that has to be said that our parents have been extremely supportive and I mean, uh, you know, take friends and family, and I mean, they're just all extremely supportive when it came to game dev and helping out, testing the game out and stuff. So yeah, I really cannot. I really couldn't point out to anyone is more inspirational than the parents.
Okay, got it. That's a very sweet answer. Make say hi to your parents. Say thank you to them. It's good. It's good. That's interesting. Okay, Mihaela, did you have a different response, or are you gonna also?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's also, I mean, I have to agree, like friends and family. Also, like apart from our whole team, we also always have friends who.
Uh-oh. I think we just lost Mihaela.
With the game design itself, I don't know, I really found inspiring the whole community that is now happening on the internet. Without, oops. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, and we just got the cam back too.
I got the message. Okay, I got the message that the connection was unstable. Anyway, yeah, the whole internet community of like indie game devs and stuff like that was extremely inspiring. And honestly, like if it wasn't so available to see like tutorials on how to make games or see other people like on Twitter, stuff like that, who also like model things, who show you how to actually work on the programs, I probably wouldn't start doing it myself. Like there was some support from the university, but they don't teach you enough stuff like that, like how to work on more complicated 3D programs and stuff like that. So that was really inspirational to just like see people on the internet doing stuff, and then you also want to do stuff.
Right. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, if there's also one, not a single person, but a community to point out.
Sure.
Back when I was little, there was a really, I mean, you couldn't really call it a community, but there were a series of like magazines devoted to gaming and IT here in Croatia. And given the lack of internet and the lack of advertising aimed at us here, so having it like a connection to the Western world of gaming, it was what helped us keep up to date.
That's pretty cool. Nice. Yeah, sorry, that's a new question. I wasn't sure how it's gonna roll out for everybody, work for everyone. It's been good. It's been good. We had one person say, I think, oh goodness, what did he say? Anyway, back to the questions. My apologies. Let's see. What was the first video game you ever fell in love with or built an emotional connection with, Mihaela?
Me, I thought about this, and I have to say it's Monkey Island.
Monkey
Specifically,
Island.
yeah, specifically the Curse of the Monkey Island, which inspired me like to play games and to draw in a way, because the style of the game, the 2D animation and everything, it was so for me, a small child, so inspiring. And I think that's like definitely the first game I actually fell in love with.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I think I played like one of those once, and I was like, "This is actually kind of cool. I like this." Like just the idea of the stories, and it was the point and click adventure one, right?
Is it? It's like but yeah. It's like
Yeah.
very simple, but also the first games before the curse are way more complicated. I played them with Yanko actually, and we actually it was very fun to just like have two kids like trying to figure out the very complicated games. And I'm really interested in what Yanko is going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yanko.
uh, yeah, it really is a family thing that we all love the Monkey Island series. And I also thought about pointing out, I mean, to be fair, I would point out the first game, The Secret of Monkey Island, because that was probably one of the first ones I ever played. And, it was just like, it was brilliant, but it was brilliant in a way I didn't understand as much as a kid. So
Hmm.
after replaying it as I grew older, you realize there's even more depth and more brilliance around it, like from the humor, the writing, uh,
Hmm.
the cleverness of the puzzles. It's just a brilliant series, and
Yeah.
probably it would probably be my favorite game ever, like the favorite series ever.
That's really awesome. Cool. Cool. I I just bought the Monkey Islands like the whole series not long ago because I saw it was all on sale and I was like, I remember that. I kind of want to play it. So I now you got me wanting to play it again. So
It's, I
I would
mean,
yeah.
everyone should. It's like, even if it's not for you, you should at least give it a try. If it clicks, it will be absolutely wonderful.
Mm.
awesome. Awesome. Cool, cool. Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. One sec. Next was what about game development drew you in? I'm guessing this is more for Yanko specifically because he's been doing this longer.
Yeah, I mean, I have been doing it longer on the basis that I'm a bit older. So yeah,
Right. Uh,
this.
I'm I'm guessing that Mihaila, like your answer is that Yanko drew into game development, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, actually, I mean, yeah, I actually started trying to make assets for the game myself. Like I was trying to do tutorials on how to make a game, but as I don't have any knowledge in any knowledge in programming languages themselves, I really don't. I couldn't do as much as I could. I couldn't do as much like with myself, so I just like let Yanko do all the
Yeah, exactly.
complicated
So
stuff. And
sorry, that was supposed to be a joke. Yanko, sorry. Keep going,
yeah,
Yanko.
yeah.
My apologies.
I mean, I mean, when you play games, you always ask yourself, like, could I do this? And you always think like a game is announced, and you always make up features in your head, like, and it's something. It's a creative process, and you always you can't be sure if you'll be good at it before you actually give it a go.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, that's why I always tried to do something. And now that we actually had a game out, and it's a really cool feeling to actually be able to put your mind, your thoughts into code and into a project that's playable for others.
Yeah, that's kind of neat actually when you think about it. You're taking something that can truly go in infinite number of directions because it's just a language and you're building that language to do something specific. Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty neat. It's pretty amazing. So here's the other thing that I'm thinking. The game that you actually decided to create is basically teaching programming, which is pretty darn cool. What? Sorry, I don't know if you said something or not.
No, no, no.
Oh, okay,
I
all
haven't.
right. So what inspired you to actually choose to go that route to make a game about programming?
Uh, First of all, I actually remember the moment the idea came to me. I was watching the Game Maker's Toolkit video about, I think it was about Victorio and those types of games. And
Yeah.
Mark from the channel mentioned that there's been an increase in a number of games made by developers for developers or made by programmers for programmers. And that made me think like I've been doing this for a while and I know the ins and outs of programming, and could I make like I wouldn't call it a programming language, but something resembling a programming language in game. So I mean, you could call it an educational game, and there is some educational value for it. But it was first and foremost trying to create a proof of concept. Can I make like yeah, a small programming language for others to use. And after it turned out that it's fairly fun to play, at least for me, and that's when we decided to push it further into like a more educational video game.
That's pretty cool. Nice. I what was I played? Have you seen the game Autonauts? Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I saw someone play it. I think was it Northern Line or someone like that on his channel. I remember watching it, and it's like a similar concept, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken.
Yeah, yeah. Where you actually create all the robots to go out to do all the different things, and you yeah building the stuff. I that's what I was thinking of when I saw your game, but just the coding aspect.
Yeah.
This is kind of neat. And yours is more of a puzzle solving though, in that
Yeah,
in that
we
respect.
wanted to
Each.
take we wanted to take it in a direction that we haven't seen in other games. So, like I mentioned, there's Bots, which is like a programming sports game,
Hmm.
and there are others. So we decided to, since we're short on time and not really as experienced as some other dev teams,
Hmm.
so we decided to make a more streamlined and more focused experience. And I thought that, and actually think it was the right choice. I think making it into a number of smaller levels was the right way to go because
Yeah.
we didn't overextend.
Right. Yeah, that's actually something that I see as a problem for a lot of developers. They'll like start a project and it's just supposed to be a small project. A lot of them that I've talked to, they're like, yeah, it was just supposed to be like a year, maybe less, and then it ends up being like a 4 year project, right? So, so it's knowing how to like crunch it into a time period and make sure that you get it out and all of that too. So it's kind of a good thing that you've been, and it's still in early access, but
Yeah, but it's like I'm really happy with how it's shaping out. And basically, if we released it now, I would be happy with it. If we
mhm,
did a full release now, I would be pretty happy with how it turned out.
yeah,
And we're just hoping to add, I don't know, a bunch of new levels and maybe polish out some user experience. And that's pretty much it. So we really try to make it as focused as possible, since we don't have the time or manpower of a proper dev team.
mhm,
And we were pretty strict on not adding anything. I mean, we cut a ton of features from, like, if this isn't serving a purpose in game, there's really no point for it to be there. Like,
mhm.
there's we benefited a lot more from chopping the game up and making it a more streamlined and user-friendly experience than if we allowed anything outside the scope to budge in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's where a lot of people fall into the trap too as developers. They're like, "Oh, but this will be cool too, and this will be cool, and this will be cool," and then implementing all of those aspects all into the game and breaks all kinds of different things. They have to make it work. Takes forever. But
Uh,
yeah.
the feature creep is a major problem in gaming, and I mean, I think I benefited somewhat from the IT experience because we also have a lot of issues with toning down our scopes. So I do have some experience in how to manage expectations, how to organize and just deliver the product instead of dancing around the issues. And what's important is that we have a somewhat fun core gameplay loop, and everything else around it is padding, and sometimes too much padding is not a good thing.
Right. Um, Sorry, we've been talking solely to Yanko now. So Mihaila, tell me your choices in the artwork and everything, because you did the vast majority of creating the little 3D models of all the little robots and all that stuff, and the UI. What was the decision making in Sketchbots to be Sketchbots?
Yes, so there was some variants at the beginning. So we had like some ideas on how to actually present the idea of showing a programming language. But as we said before, like the same with managing your scope and like your skills and everything, the same goes like with the style. And like during the creative process of designing and like discussing the possible styles, we really decided that if we are going to present a game that is supposed to be educational and fun, but also simple, that the best way to show it is through a very simple, sketchy style that really shows everything. Like from when you open up the screen, you can see all the UI and everything. So it's supposed to be as intuitive and simple as possible. So that's and that's how we got to the current visual design, which is basically just like outlined models and UI that is supposed to match the models and the graphs itself. As you know, the game has like three of modules that are supposed to present like words in sentences. That's how I call them, but I know it's a little more complicated than that. But the tree is supposed to also like match the models itself. So the idea was just like to have the style be unique, but also make everything be unified. So if the UI is going to be simple, then the model should be simple and stuff like that. Like, so that is how we got to the UI and character design that we got to now. So it's basically also like what we said before when we are talking about the scope of the project. I also try not to go way over my head, because I also have a very good experience from my projects in and out of university, when you like go over your head with like stuff you want to make, but you also don't have the skills to do it. So basically animation I am not so good with. I am not good with animating humans and like organic models yet, but I decided that we are going to like stick to the simple models that are made of several objects that just like scale and move and everything. So it's all supposed to be like made very simply and look very simply as well. So there is not so much to it when you look at it closely, but it's actually a lot. There was a lot of thinking to the whole process.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be said, Mihaela did a ton of work. Like, my original idea for like the programming languages was extremely unintuitive. It was like looking back at it, I mean, I really needed someone to pull the reins and like without Miha's input, I mean, people still might find UI a bit overwhelming, but honestly, compared to what it was earlier on in development, it's like night and day, a completely different story.
But yeah, a fun fact is actually that the ending result of the editor itself, so the Note 3, was actually the last thing we thought of, but it actually makes the most sense. That's what, like, we started with something that wasn't actually normal for a programming language and ended with something that is actually so normal when you go and study. Like, the first thing they teach you while you are being taught programming is actually like how do Node 3s work. Maybe not in that exact way, but it's like visually, it's actually just like a drop down of actions and conditions that go before the action. So in the end, it was really, it wasn't just my own input, but it's really like also there was so much communicating, and also like the other members of the team also helped a lot, and everyone else. So it's like it was a very that was actually the most challenging part of the design process.
Definitely.
Okay. Right. Okay. Did either of you want to speak for your brother that couldn't be here about audio or anything that you want to mention about it? Or the work he's done?
Our brother Tomislav, he doesn't do the audio. He also is in the design process, but he.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Luca, my friend from uni, he does the sound.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I mixed the two up. I wasn't sure. I thought it was a 3-person.
No, it's four, but Tomislav also does a lot of other stuff, but Luca is here for the sound specifically.
Ah, okay.
So he also gives me some input, but he does all the sound.
Okay.
And okay, just Tomislav did the music for other games that we published outside, like individually during the game jams.
Mm-hmm.
So he was. Yeah.
Oh, so you guys done game jams before?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually how this all started. Like last year when the quarantine hit and everything, Miha was studying abroad in Vienna, and we were here in Zagreb. So, we were all pretty much confined to our rooms, to our apartments and stuff.
Right.
And to kill the time over a few weekends, we entered a couple of game jams to see if we could actually do something, like finish a game in a short period of time. And after seeing that we actually got some fairly positive reviews and people enjoyed playing our games, we decided to push on a bit with the hope and try to think of an idea that we could make into a proper game.
That's kind of neat. So what were some of the games that you made during the game jam? Plural.
There was we made two of them. One was, I think it was called The Office Party, basically like a card game in which you had to you were a new employee stuck at an office party with who is extremely anxious, and like you had to interact with people in order to calm yourself down and become like more popular, which was like it was a really bizarre game, but really fun and very graphically very unique. And the other one was, I actually can't recall the name at the moment, but it was like a small stealth game with a couple of levels where you had to avoid patrolling policemen.
Rescue Mission, that's the name of the game.
Rescue Mission, right.
Huh. Interesting. Are those all archived online? People can look them up?
Yeah, you can look them up at the Feelgood OPG itch.io page.
Nice.
They should be there, and hopefully we'll release Sketchbots on itch.io soon. We've been pushing that down the priority list for a few months now.
Right. Cool. I'm always excited to hear about game jams, because it's always an exciting, very very fast-paced thing that has to happen, and you have to like think on the fly, and people always have good stories to tell about the things that they made.
Yeah, like the first game we made, the Office Party, it also looks the way it looks because we also had an earthquake, like a 5-point earthquake like in Zagreb at that time, so it was also like
we lost her again.
I think we're losing her.
It was over quick, and on the second day it happened, and then Janko has more. Janko was there actually. I was just like sitting in my room and like doing nothing in quarantine.
Hold up.
I think what Miha was breaking up for a moment. I think what she mentioned was that the first game was Yeah, that first game jam was during the weekend of the major Zagreb earthquake. So
Right.
it was like a really bizarre experience, running from home then running back so we can finish the game in time and release it. And yeah, but that was not something I'd like to try once more.
Too funny. Okay. Got it. Cool, cool. Yeah, sorry you keep on breaking up at the worst times, Mihaela. Mihaela.
Yeah, my internet is like that. It's just, yeah. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. We can share the game now. Yanko, do you think you'd be able to share it?
Yeah, I made a build just before the interview started, so I can just give you a quick rundown of the game. And
Sure.
do you mind if I share my screen?
Sure. Right ahead. It'll ask for permission over here, and I'll. Oh, there. I guess it doesn't ask for permission. It just takes over.
Okay. Yeah, and so this is Sketchbots.
Awesome.
So you can see the art style. We went through a couple of potential art styles, but we settled on this one, which is like more like when you're bored in class in school and you start drawing on your notebooks, like
Yeah.
some random stuff. And we were really going for that aesthetic, and I really think it fits the game really nicely. So.
It does. It's really cool. I really like it. I like the fact that that's what I was going to say is like sketching on a notebook. You know, you're in school and like you make little doodles and stuff on there. It kind of has that feel to it.
Yeah, I turned the music off, but if you listen to it, it's like we try to everything to go into the whole. We try to play into the whole board in school, like some smooth music going on in the background, more like
Mhm.
I wouldn't call it sleepy, but like very lo-fi and calm music. So
Nice. I like me some lo-fi.
and it also it also fit into the whole atmosphere of like the game itself is designed so you iterate over the level, so you try it the first time and then you fail, then you check where you made some mistakes and you fix that, and you slowly work towards the answer. So some up-tempo music wouldn't really fit it, so we thought it's really cool that it's like smooth and it's not interruptive in a way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can just show you a quick example of a few levels just to get a feel for the game. So like this is how the level looks, for example. And you can see our bot over here. I think you can see my cursor, right?
Yep. We can.
Yeah, you can see our bot here. And for example, in this level, our goal is to get to the X that marks the finish tile.
Hmm.
So how we should do that is by using a number of conditions to determine which action a bot should take in a certain turn. Like, for example, if there's an obstacle in front of me, then we want to turn to the right. And if there's not, then just move forward. And you can see the level being played out afterwards. And then you see we can reach the goal.
Nice.
And the screen is not well centered. That's a bug. I'll note for food. I can't believe I missed it so far. So okay, ignore
No
this.
worries. No worries.
It's usually not centered. It's usually in the center, but that's probably the build thing.
Yeah, I made some adjustments to the screens, and I obviously didn't test them thoroughly.
Mm.
So my bad. And like I can show a few more levels
Sure.
along. And also
So-
this
so
will
you
this will be a decent example of what I mean by working through levels. Like we can set so this solution will probably turn out fine. But you can see the bot isn't doing what it was like. It got to the end of the level, but it also didn't go to it didn't have the optimal path towards it.
Yeah.
So
So-
this is something very specific to programming and a couple of other professions. Like you want to iterate over a solution and find the best ones to find the best one in order to solve it in an optimal manner.
Right. So I kind of want to look at this a little more. You've got several different things here. You've got when you click add, right? You've got several different options. You can do an and statement. You can do an or statement. You can do checks. Now those checks are those what you add to the yeah. Okay. I'm still getting a feel for the game. Action check or health check?
Yeah, that's part of the issue we ran into. Getting the learning curve properly set up is quite challenging, as it turns out. So people were slightly overwhelmed. So usually there are a number of hints around the level, which I've turned off for the purpose of making it as clear as possible for the demo.
Right.
But basically, there are a number of checks, and there's also a number of actions. Like in these first few levels, you only need to go to the finish or something like that. But later on, you have a bunch of enemies which you can shoot or try to avoid or anything. So there's really a limitless number of possibilities for level design and a bunch of other level types, not just reaching the finish.
Right. Okay. And does it actually, like over there in the bubbles, does it actually go through those? Can you like click on them and it'll change or no?
Yeah, we can also, for example, like you can see these are all, if you can imagine when programming, like there are a number of parameters. You ask a computer if the variable is 1 or 2 or something like that. So you can also say, you can check for an obstacle to the front, but you can also check there's an obstacle to the right or the left.
Nice.
And that's how you find the optimum solution or the solution to some other levels.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a number of parameters and there are a number of checks. You can also ask, did I like move or shoot last turn? The whole point of the game is that it's actually fairly easy. Like looking at it from up here, you can easily see the bot has to go forward, then right and left, then right, then left again, and level done. So that's easy from our perspective, but the key here is to put yourself into the perspective of the little guy over here and only take into account what he sees at the moment. So you see that the exit is here behind this obstacle, but that doesn't mean much for him because he can only see the obstacle in front of him. So this is like a very basic intro into creating an AI for a robot.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So, and it's all based into small levels, so you weren't worried about creating it so that it's something that will be usable like later or having later iterations of it. It's just solve this one, solve the next one. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the core gameplay principle is just to go through a series of levels, and afterwards we've implemented a level editor and an option to download user-made levels, like hoping to create some more community feedback.
That's really cool. I like that. So there are actual like oh wow, there's a level editor and everything. Heck yeah!
I mean, everything you saw here in the previous levels was created through it. So like whatever you feel like, you can add objects, you can add robots, and assign various stats to them. And it's like, I mean, it's a level editor that was used when creating the game itself. So basically, every user has all the same tools that we did.
It should be also noted that not only we have like specific goals and I don't know, a specific number of levels, we also have like 3 types of enemies. Soon we will maybe even have more, but not too much. But we also add different enemies that have different kinds of moving, and they have their own brain in a way. So they also can create also a different number of possible levels and challenges for the player.
Cool.
Yeah, as you can see, we currently have like two different enemy types and like a target type, which is an idle enemy that you just have to take out. And yeah, they're really a ton of combinations. And while designing the levels, I found there to be a huge number of possibilities. And what's even more important, there are ways to uh, trick the player into thinking the way you are. So my favorite thing when designing levels was subverting the expectations. Like there's a way of thinking that you go into a level with, and we should try to subvert that to make the player like surprised and make him think again about how that level should be approached.
Mm. Hmm. So overall, are there so there are bots, there are targets, there are obstacles, and then there's like the main floor of the map. And is that it for or are there other objects
So yeah,
in the
Yeah.
game?
we currently have additionally like some toggle tiles. Like for
Hmm.
example, there are levels where your goal is to turn all the tiles uh,
Ah,
turn all the tiles into green tiles by running over them. So it's like I'm not sure what the proper comparison would be, but like it involves a bit of a different way of thinking because you work from the perspective of uh, possibly looping over the same tile number of times, toggling it back and forth. So to additionally challenge the players.
cool. Okay. One more like big question to have. So, big question. Listen to me. So when you create a map, let's say you made a large map that's going to need a lot of different things put in there, for checks and how does that play out? Because it looks like there's a very small area for you to add, to on there when you go on
That's
to.
actually a very good question. So like
Oh,
the area
it actually zooms out. Okay.
Yeah, so the area to add things is you can basically scroll infinitely. We limited the player's scroll capacity to a certain height, but you know, it's in theory a player can have hundreds of nodes in a level, and it really wouldn't present a problem.
That would be so neat. What is there a limit to how large a map can be? Because if you could have a very large map and like the goal is to shoot all of the targets and there's like all the things that have to be turned over, like could you imagine just how large of a scale that you'd have to make that little AI just to accomplish it?
That's a very good point, and that's also why we originally limited the levels to 16 by 16 tiles. So
Okay.
we're currently this screen here is fixed, and we're I'm looking into ways to make players move around here while also moving around here. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a work in progress at the moment, but if we created a level too large, we wouldn't be, a player
Yeah.
couldn't clearly see each tile what it represents. So that's why
Right.
the limit is currently at 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you at least like we have like some things that are fixed and some things that are just like more movable, more scalable, as you can say. But because just like sometimes the game needs its anchor points, sometimes it just needs to say, okay, we can have a limited a number of tiles, but you can make like a roller coaster tycoon type of hell in the in the graph. Like just it's just like for now at least it's because that's the point that we were talking about before, just like we have a set scope of the game in a way, this way.
Yeah, that would be interesting though. So there's I would think that would be interesting because you already have set up the level editor and you have set up the download like other creations. So like if people are given the option to make something very large, they may do it. That would be very interesting to see what would happen.
the chaos that would happen. Yeah.
Oh, wow, look at this. Okay, so you've got
I'm just playing a bit so people get the feel for the game. Just,
walk us through your process while you're doing that before you hit go or you add more. Like, so what was your decision making process?
okay, yeah, I can just reset it and show how I originally solved the level. So,
Sure.
like, we can obviously see a couple of targets around the robot, and
Yeah.
how can we destroy both of them? So the first instinct is obviously if we see a robot to our front, then we should shoot him. That's the basic logic. Now the next step would be how can we get to that robot first and foremost. So if we can move forward, if there's nothing blocking us, then we should move forward. Now I'll intentionally make a mistake so I can demonstrate the process of working over mistakes.
Right.
So if there's nothing in front of us, then we should just move. Okay, so now that we got here, what's the next step? If there's a robot to our left, obviously we should turn left. Then turn. And if there's a robot to our right, then obviously we should turn right. And otherwise, just wait if none of the cases have been solved. So now we can see the robot moving as expected, and it will shoot the first enemy.
And then it's like, well,
then it will continue going forward, and we got stuck in a loop here, and obviously the level failed now.
Defeat! Oh no, sad face.
And this, in my mind, is the whole core of the game. So
right.
Why did we make that mistake? Why did we fail that level? So the key part is that we checked if we should move prior to checking if we should turn at this point. So instead of this, we can take this series of nodes and move them downwards and move these nodes up here. And now you'll notice we don't. We just leave it here. Now we'll notice that by changing the order of execution, that our robot first checked if he should turn, but again, he started moving. So again, we got stuck. So again, why that happened? We didn't check if there's an obstacle to our back.
Yeah.
So we can also make a bit of an adjustment here. We can remove this node and add an OR statement here and say, I'll just clean this up a bit. And we can say if there's a robot to our right, or if there's a robot to our back. In that case, in both of those cases, we should turn. And hopefully, because I'm on stream now, so it would be very silly if I fail this. So now the robot notices the enemy behind it, and because of this OR statement, it will turn around and see it and shoot it. So
awesome.
You can see that I actually made 3 iterations of the same level with minor. None of the mistakes were major, but it's fairly easy to notice and pinpoint where it went wrong. And later on in the more difficult levels, you can actually go through a level turn by turn, and you can see, at this point I should have turned left instead of moving forward. And
right.
You go through turns, and you see at which point in the graph you actually made where you made the wrong turn in the graph, and you slightly adjust it in order to get closer to your expected solution.
Yeah, that's a really nice feature. I didn't realize that you had that. That's pretty cool.
Well, actually, a lot of people didn't, because I didn't make it as clear and obvious. There should be a way to point out to people, you make a mistake, you can check your moves here and see where it went wrong. But doing the UI is a lot harder than expected. It's like, I mean, I'm just fortunate to have Mihaela here because her advice, you know, if you're looking at this and thinking, well, this is very unintuitive, well, you should have seen it beforehand. It was really something else.
Yeah, it's like a whole philosophy behind it. We could write a book after we finish the game. It's like just like intuitive design, but only about UI, nothing else.
Right. Cool. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I talked to someone recently that they were telling me that that it's a lot of things are not as clear as they may seem like they would be for most people. So it's pretty important to set things up in a way that they can learn it and figure it out. So it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite incredible. Like, I mean, this game is something that I made from scratch. Like, this is all of this is like how I envision it. But someone coming into this cold without my prior knowledge is going to find this absolutely horrible to get through. Like, a really normal case here, what we found out during playtesting, people thought it would be like, so yeah, you take a move here and then you move again, and like then you turn and then you shoot.
Why doesn't it work?
And that's a completely valid way of thinking. Like, and it's not the player's fault that they thought it's how the game should be played, because you know, if you find something intuitive, that's how then I should explain to you that this is not the right way. Like, especially from people outside of the IT sector, like creating those decision trees, like how the game was supposed to be played, is really not something they find easy to comprehend, and like which is completely understandable, don't get me wrong. And it's just our goal is to teach the people how the game should be played, and that's really hard, especially when this is your first game and you really don't have experience with explaining things. And furthermore, if we made something like a 2D side scroller, then yeah, it's easy. You click space to jump or something like that, and that's fairly easy to grasp. But something like programming, that's an absolute mess. Like, I mean, it's a mess in the best of. It's a mess at best, and like at worst, it's completely incomprehensible.
Very cool. Is there anything else you'd like to show us about the game?
Yeah, sure. I'd really like a couple of levels. You can also see a couple of other enemies here.
Oh wow.
So this is like our turret enemy, and when you walk in front of it, it shoots the robot, and it turns left and right if it can. So this is an example level. Like, this is fairly simple, but it's an introduction into the new enemy types. And for example, you can notice here that each player has a number of health points. For example, our player has 5 health points, while the enemies have 1. So which means they go down in 1 hit, and we can tank a few hits ourselves. And I'll just have a quick rundown of the level.
This was also one of the first levels that you created, as I remember.
This is actually the first level I created, and with some minor modifications. Like, this was the one level on which I tested pretty much everything. It was actually called example level until I think 2 days before going live on early access.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, like, I'm looking at this. If this is the first level I'd run into, yeah, I'd have some problems.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I say, like, for me it was great because, you know, I understood everything about the game.
Yeah.
But for someone coming in cold, it was challenging to say the least.
It's very fun when you try to do a design on a game that you don't, for the beginning, completely understand. And then you're like, oh my God. I cannot test this game by myself.
Yeah, and this is partially my fault because I should have done a bit more of an intro for Micha and the rest of the guys working. I mean, actually, the first one I gave this game to play was my brother Tomislav. So, and I was actually on the fence about whether, it was something people might enjoy, but I told him, "Do you want to try a prototype of something I've been making?" And I dropped him, I mean, pretty much this level and a couple of others. And he actually clicked with it. I was shocked to see him clicking with it at first, and he thought it was great. I mean, he thought it was a fun idea, and that's how we decided to push forward. And just if you don't have any questions, I'd just like to point out that if people are on the fence about buying the game or something like that, and would like to maybe, and I don't know, talk to us about some of the features, some of the ways we can improve the game or anything, we're listening very carefully on both the Fieldwood OPG Twitter account. We set up a public Discord in which people can drop by and ask or report any bugs they find in the game or anything else. We realized that the price, the original price, is a bit steep, but we also included our free demos just so people don't, by any chance, feel that they've been taken for a ride. We try to be as transparent as possible as what they will receive in the game, and if they want to give it a go, we'd be really happy for, and if they don't like it, we'd love to hear any parts of it that they find both unintuitive or just like boring or anything else.
Mihaela, anything that Yanko missed?
No, he's pretty much said everything actually. Just like stay tuned. We'll update. We update every 2 weeks the game. So especially when I finish my thesis, we will probably add some more features with models and new levels and stuff like that. So definitely stay tuned for more stuff to come. But and we really hope you enjoyed the game, but also if you we also love to communicate with other players, and it's it would be amazing to hear from people, like the feedback, and even the negative and the constructive criticism would be amazing, like any sort.
Certainly.
Yeah, that's very true. And also what Miha said, we're really, despite both of us working either on college or our full-time jobs, we're really very persistent on having bi-weekly updates. So the game is definitely not going to be abandoned anytime soon, and we almost doubled the number of levels we launched with.
Nice.
In early access.
Glad to hear that. Awesome. Everyone, thank you for watching. Check out the game, Sketchbots. It's on Steam right now, available for 30% off for the Lunar New Year event. Thank you, Yanko and Mihaela. Everybody check out their Facebook, yada yada. Everybody subscribe down below, like the video, share it with your friends, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much.